This is the 5-Minute Bible Hour. Today, part 3 of What's the Deal with Jesus and Parables?
Well, welcome to part 3 of Jesus and Parables. You know, sometimes parables are short, sweet, and to the point. Now, the moneylender who forgives unequal debts, that's a good example of what I'm talking about. Now, you'll find that in Luke 7:41 through 43. Two people owed money to a certain moneylender. One owed him 500 denarii, and the other, 50. Now, neither of them had the money to pay him back, so he forgave the debts of both. Now, which of them will love him more? Simon replied, "Well, I suppose the one who had the bigger debt forgiven." "You have judged correctly," Jesus said. Those who realize how much of a sinner they are will be all the more grateful for the forgiveness of Jesus than those who believe themselves to be righteous, because they don't need Jesus. Our gratitude will show itself through our actions. Obviously, that doesn't mean we should go out and sin more so that we can be more thankful. Truly, it has little to do with the quantity of our sin, but in recognizing the depth of our sinful nature. Once we come to the realization that we can't earn our salvation, that in fact we don't deserve salvation, then we'll understand the magnitude of the gift that we've received through Christ's sacrifice. Now that brings us to the parable of the rich fool. Now that's in Luke 12:16 through 21. And he told them this parable. The ground of a certain rich man yielded an abundant harvest. He thought to himself, "What shall I do? I have no place to store my crops." Then he said, "This is what I'll do. I'll tear down my barns and build bigger ones. And there I will store my surplus grain. And I'll say to myself, you have plenty of grain laid up for many years. Take life easy, eat, drink, and be merry." But God said to him, "You fool! This very night your life will be demanded of you. Then who will get what you have prepared for yourself? This is how it will be with whoever stores up things for themselves, but is not rich towards God." Proverbs 18:11 says that the wealth of the rich is their fortified city. Now, even though money makes people feel secure, it can't save them or protect them when their time on earth is finished. Now, Jesus is telling us to guard our hearts against every kind of greed, because life isn't measured by how much we own, and because we don't know when our dying day will be. We're foolish if we choose to be rich in this world, but neglect to cultivate a rich relationship with God, which is what will truly matter for eternity. Okay, let's look at this one. The parable of the barren fig tree. That's also in Luke 13:6 through 9. Then he told this parable. A man had a fig tree growing in his vineyard, and he went to look for fruit on it, but he didn't find any. So he said to the man who took care of the vineyard, "For 3 years now I've been coming to look for fruit on this fig tree, and I haven't found any. Cut it down. Why should it use up the soil?" "Sir," the man replied, "leave it alone for 1 more year, and I'll dig around it and fertilize it. And if it bears fruit next year, fine. If not, then I'll cut it down." Now in this parable, the man who planted the fig tree, he represents God. The gardener signifies Jesus. And the fig tree symbolizes the nation of Israel and the people's individual spiritual lives. Now, as Christians, we're expected to bear good fruit in our lives by keeping with the practices of repentance, sharing the gospel with others, and worshiping God above all others. Now, God is patient with us. He wants everyone to come to salvation, but eventually time will run out, and his just judgment will come on those who never worked at being fruitful.
My oh my, where does the time go? So that wraps it up for this week. Now next week, well, more of the same. What's the deal with Jesus and parables? And I'm pulling for you. May God bless you and your family.